pivotal moment in our nation's history. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, RFK will sit in front of the Senate Finance Committee for his confirmation hearing to be our nation's next Secretary of Health and Human Services. I urge everyone to call their U.S. senators over the following days and demand they vote yes on Bobby's nomination. He is more than qualified. He's proven, principled, and prepared to lead. I'll share a list below of key senators. If they represent your state, they need to hear from you. If they don't, please call your own senator and ask them to vote yes. We need as many votes as we can get. So this hasn't been widely reported, but in 2020, I cut large checks to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia from red to blue. The 2 candidates I helped elect, Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator John Ossoff, please know I will be watching your votes very closely. I will make it my personal mission that you lose your seats in the Senate if you vote against the future health of America's children. And more than that, I also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, James Lankford, Cory Booker, John Fetterman, Bernie Sanders, and Catherine Cortez Masto, this is a bipartisan message, and it comes directly from me. While Bobby may be willing to play nice, I won't. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. Big Pharma and Big Ag have exploited us for far too long. It ends now. You're either on the side of transparency and accountability, or you are standing in the way. The choice is yours. Please choose wisely.
Man, now she was not playing around. That sounds more like a threat than it does, more like a promise than anything else. And if you're not familiar with who that is Dr. Nicole Shanahan. She was the VP candidate running with RFK during the 2024 election. And you may or may not be aware that RFK Jr. did actually run for president, but was blocked by the Democrat National Party. And they banned him from all of the ballots across the states. They also, the Biden administration ordered a media blackout, which is why you never saw one campaign ad for RFK. Or if you did, it was on the internet, because they had a legacy media buyout. And that's exactly why legacy media is dying, because the Biden administration, one good thing I can say about the administration is they helped expose just how corrupt, how biased, and how manipulative the mainstream, or should I say the lamestream media is. Now, today was the Senate hearings for RFK Jr., okay, to become the director of health and agriculture. And, without disappointing, the Democrats came in trying to swing every haymaker that they could. And RFK Jr., as the skilled politician that he is, was bobbing, weaving, ducking, and was jabbing and hitting back. And he made some really great points. And the only downside with RFK Jr. is that his voice, you can only listen to him for so long. But let's get into what happened and the fireworks that flew between RFK Jr. and these senators up on the Hill. And a lot of these senators really, they embarrassed themselves. And they should be embarrassed because the way that they treated them. So let me get this thing queued up here.
No vaccine.
Let me make sure I got it back and started. Let's check this like that. Make it to where I can see me better. All right, let's roll with that one.
In your testimony today under oath, you denied that you were anti-vaccine. But during a podcast interview in July of 2023, you said, quote, no vaccine is safe and effective. In your testimony today, in order to prove you're not anti-vax, you note that all your kids are vaccinated. But in a podcast in 2020, you said, and I quote, you would do anything, pay anything to go back in time and not vaccinate your kids. Mr. Kennedy, all of these things cannot be true. So, are you lying to Congress today when you say you are pro-vaccine? Or did you lie on all those podcasts? We have all of this on tape, by the way.
Yeah, Senator, as you know, because it's been repeatedly debunked, that statement that I made on the Lex Friedman podcast was a fragment of the statement. He asked me, and anybody who actually goes and looks at that podcast and will see this. He asked me, are there vaccines that are safe and effective? And I said to him, some of the live virus vaccines are. And I said, there are no vaccines that are safe and effective. And I was going to continue for every person. Every medicine has people who are sensitive to them, including vaccines.
Right. So
he interrupted me at that point. I've corrected it many times, including on national TV. You know about this, Senator Wyden. So bringing this up right now is dishonest.
As you all know, despite.
And let's just talk about that for a second. You know, when it comes to the jabs, a lot of people were skeptics and still are. I know that I'm one of them. When it initially dropped and we were going through that once in a lifetime pandemic globally, you know, nobody really knew what to do. And there were some medicines that were already out that could have helped and saved a lot of lives, like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. But the big pharma pushed the media to actually blacklist and cancel anybody who was referencing these two specific medications. Remember, Joe Rogan, they tried to get him taken down off Spotify because he spoke about hydroxychloroquine. President Trump spoke about it. And they were saying they made fun of him when he brought up ivermectin. They always for dogs, that's horse medication, not realizing that there is a human type of medication in ivermectin that people did take that did help them during the pandemic. Okay, so the vaccines, the jabs, got to watch it and be careful out here on YouTube. You know how they are. When it comes to the jabs, we've seen myocarditis skyrocket between males the ages of 18 to 25. And that's where your heart gets enlarged. We've also seen a spike in people with squid-like blood clots in their body, bigger than ever before. Doctors are saying they've never seen anything like this since the introduction of the jab. So his skepticism is warranted. The one thing, though, is that these Democrats are stuck in 2020. They want Trump to concede the 2020 election. They quote RFK on things from 2020 as if this man hasn't been out publicly standing on his soapbox explaining how he is pro-vaccine, but he wants good science-backed jabs. Because the Congress and the Senate, they had doctors that came in to testify about why they were skeptical, why they were anti, what they felt about what was going on with the jabs that were out. And these doctors, man, they let in some information that there was animal DNA, there was nanotechnology, there was all types of other chemicals in it that could have a negative reaction and has had a negative reaction in certain people. And, you know, those medical physicians who were skeptics, they were blacklisted, they were removed from social media, just to find out 4 years, 5 years later that they were right. But let's continue. Now, Bernie Sanders was one of the names that Nicole Shanahan spoke about as if you act like a naughty boy, she's going to spank you. Let's see how Bernie did.
The drug companies making over $100 billion in profits, paying CEOs outrageous compensation packages. We, in some cases, pay 10 times more for the same drug. Will you support legislation that I will introduce which says that in America we should not be paying a nickel more for prescription drugs than people around the rest of the world? Yes, no.
To equalize it?
Not to equalize it, that we should not be paying more than other countries for the same damn drug.
President Trump has asked me, in fact, I had a meeting with President Trump a week ago where we showed him the charts.
He knows the charts.
We're paying 10 times more from Europe.
That's right. And are you going to commit to us that you will end that absurdity?
I think in principle we can. We should end that disparity.
Good.
I think Bernie Sanders, a lot of the talking points that he bring up, the common folk really like it. But Bernie's a wealthy man. He's worth like $50 million or something. He talks as if he's a commoner and he understands the plight of the little man. But Bernie's a senator, a multi-millionaire senator who has a lot of socialist type of views, in my opinion. You know, this whole thing of equal for all. Well, that's not the way things work because some people outwork other people. So do they deserve to get less because somebody else didn't want to put in the same amount of effort? No. So Bernie's points sound really good to folks that are looking for the handout. But as far as on execution or what it would look like on the mainstream, socialism.
Started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is no vax, no problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
That was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
leadership. Are you
leadership.
Supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I want good science, and I want to protect
But
vaccines.
you will not.
We're talking about a onesie for babies. When science has proven that children, small children, the pandemic really had little to no impact on them health-wise. Their immune systems were really strong. It was more so older people over 65 or people with severe pre-existing medical conditions. So he's going off and wanting RFK to grandstand about a onesie for a baby that said no vax, no problem, which is the truth. If the baby didn't take the jab, they're not having a problem. These folks go berserk over the smallest, minute. Now, he didn't say anything about it. He didn't ask him about his plans. He didn't ask him about, what are some of the target areas they want to go after throughout this entire hearing. Did they really address what the actual responsibilities and duties of the job and what he sees and what his plans are at all? They just were all trying to get gotcha moments. See, what they do is when they get their spotlight, they want to get a gotcha so they can clip it up, put it on their YouTubes or on their social media page, and then they collect donations. And while we're at it, speaking of donations, would you click that like button if you're enjoying this video? On this channel, I share sales strategies and political and current events. And so your like is extremely important. I'll never ask you for a cash out. I'll never ask you for a super chat. But you just hitting the like button is currency. It helps spread the video out. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And then once you do, hit the notification, select that all, and then you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So now Bernie freaking out about the onesie and whatnot, but next up we got Pocahontas herself, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now the reason why I call her Pocahontas, I got that from President Trump because in her past in college and really when she was getting out of high school to qualify for certain grants, on her applications to colleges, she put down that she was Native American. And she rolled that out for years. Now, if you look at Elizabeth Warren, she looks like a white lady, a white woman. But in her past, she lied. She looks like a white woman because she is a white woman. But some Native American female, some Native American girl lost out and missed opportunities because she took a scholarship, a grant, a placement that should have belonged to one of them. And anybody that can be deceptive about their ethnicity, like the so-called black woman Kamala Harris who cooks greens in her bathtub, if somebody will lie about their ethnicity, what else would they lie about? So let's watch as Pocahontas, Senator Elizabeth Warren, goes at RFK.
So, Mr. Kennedy, I want to start with something that I think you and I agree on, and that is that Big Pharma has too much power in Washington. You said that President Trump asked you to, quote, clean up corruption and conflicts. Sounds great. You've said that you will, quote, slam shut the revolving door between government agencies and the companies they regulate. That also sounds great. So here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit?
You're not going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep going. You're right to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our number one health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy,
hearing.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
no,
and I'm not going to agree to that.
Drug companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not.
Now, you hear what she's trying to do in that first part of the question. She asked him, hey, will you work with any pharmaceutical company or refrain from working with any pharmaceutical company 4 years after leaving office? Then the second one, because he has an organization where an American citizen that has a negative impact from the medication they take from one of these pharmaceutical companies, they help them sue. And if they win the case, they get 10%. So in the second part of the question, she's saying, hey, will you swear under oath that you will not help any people and take any monies from helping those cases? So in other words, she's saying, hey, if you help these people, you won't get paid. Or I couldn't tell if she's really asking him, will you stop helping these people? It sounded like to me she was asking him, stop suing. Now think about this. Why would a Senator Warren, Massachusetts, not want RFK to be a part of holding pharmaceutical companies accountable? Well, I'll tell you why. And it's really simple. You always just have to follow the money. So let's take a look here at Senator Warren's campaign contributions. And let's see where her bread is buttered. Now, as we see here, this is from the 2020 election, okay, her senatorial race in 2020. These are all the contributions. These are organizations that donated to her campaign. So health professionals, we got 2.3, almost 2.7 million. So we'll say 2.3. I'll round it down. 2.3 million. Okay. That's from health professionals. Next up, we got hospitals and nursing homes, another 1.6 million. So right there, we're at 4 million. And then let's go down. Oh, and then insurance companies, we got another 650,000. I'll round down. So we got 650,000, 1.6 million. And then 2.3 million, let me scoot this up some more, 2.3 million, totaling to a little bit over $4.5 million, almost $5 million in contributions to her campaign. And that was just in 2020. Now, let me freak you out. Let me show you something else about Mrs. Warren. Mrs. Warren also has a $12 million value. Now, how does a senator from Massachusetts that has a $220,000 some odd salary, how does she build a net worth of $12 million? How does that happen? How does Nancy Pelosi become Speaker of the House in 2007 and then now her and her husband are worth $270 million. How does that happen? See, this is why I believe, I agree with Matt Gaetz and some others that the money has got to come out of politics, because these politicians are more loyal to the donors than they are to the American citizens. The fact that she was challenging him on the lawsuits where he's helping Americans get their just due, because they'll never get their health back, but they can at least try to get something out of the situation and it not be a complete loss. And she wants him to swear under oath that he won't do that. These people are despicable and make me sick. But I just wanted to jump in here and share that with you. I thought it was, I'm happy for RFK. He's a skilled politician. He represented himself well. But these Democrats, they got to get a new playbook. Because what do they stand for? They don't stand for anything except for Orange Man bad. And if they keep that up, man, 2028, J.D. Vance or whoever it's going to be is going to sweep right in there. And we'll maintain control of the House and the Senate. Republicans just have to take advantage of it. Stop that stupid, petty infighting, which it seems that since Trump has been there, that little infighting and nitpicking, it seemed like it has gone away. And I know, just like how at the beginning of this video, when Nicole Shanahan said, if they didn't fall in line, she was going to primary their butt out of office. You better believe that the Republican Party, which is now the MAGA Party, you know, it's no longer that Republican Party of old. My wife and I were talking about that because she doesn't trust either side. And I was telling her, hey, listen, you have every right not to trust the traditional Republicans and never trust the Democrats. But this here, this is MAGA world. This is MAGA country, which is making America great again. And she can rest assured that it's in good hands. It's in good hands. So thank you for watching the video. As always, remember to like, subscribe. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out.